Well, good afternoon, gang. In today's video, it's time for a change of scenery. That's a lot better. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through the worst and the best photographs that I've made in 2022 so far. Enjoy. If you're wondering why I have my towel, it's not because of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
You got your towel?
Come on!
Yeah. Why? Am I gonna need it? Only always. Right.
I will reveal why at the end of the video. I'm going to be starting the video with the photographs that I didn't really enjoy so much, and I didn't really enjoy them for a multitude of reasons. They were all ones that I intended to expose well, but they didn't turn out how I wanted them to. So they're not my worst images that I've made. They're just the ones that I'm least happy about because I wanted them to be so much more than what they are.
Please, sir, I want some more.
At the end of the video, I'm going to be taking you through the best photographs that I made for the whole year. And I have made some bangers, if I do say so myself. So I'm really proud of those, and I'll show you them at the end of the video. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the worst images I've made so far in 2022. I made this image in Llanarog, which is a beach in Wales, on some Ektachrome, and I really didn't get the exposure that I wanted to. The shadows are completely crushed. They are black beyond belief, and you can't see any detail in them, which is why I consider it not very well exposed. It's almost like balanced too much in favor of the highlights, and I don't really like that. I love the composition. It was going to be a banger. It was on my Mamiya RZ67 medium format, but it was just underexposed, and that was the thing that was lacking for this particular shot. This image over here I wasn't happy at all with because I find it to be a cliche. The house is like perfectly in the center of the photograph. It's shot dead on. There's almost nothing going on in the top half of the photograph or at the bottom half. I know a lot of people like this shot, but I myself absolutely do not. It's a cliche for me, and I'm not really fond of it, to be honest with you. It was also shot on Fuji Pro 400H, which I have warmed up to over the past couple of months, but there was just a lot more warmth in the scene in the original shot than what came out in the photograph. So that's why I didn't like it. These two images on the beach were also taken on Fuji Pro 400H, and I had to do a lot of work to them before they even looked presentable, and I still feel like I didn't get the colors right. There's just some weird shifts into the purple magenta sphere that I wasn't a fan of in these two shots. And again, there's just too much negative space in both of these images. There's not a lot going on in the frame, and they're not very well composed. I love the subject, I love the beach, I love film.
I love you, Jeff.
But I do not love these two photographs. I'm not really a fan of shooting old classic cars on film either. I also feel like that's a little bit of a cliche. But I saw this red, old, broken down car on the farm that we were staying at in Scotland, and I was so drawn to taking photographs of it every single day. I think I made 5 or 6 photographs of this one, but these two were my least favorite. It was so difficult to compose this car because it was at an angle where it was sat, and it didn't like kind of gel with the horizon line or the line of the fence behind it, so the planes look all unbalanced in the shot, and that's why I don't really like this image. The second image that I took, which was a follow-on from the first one, I also didn't really like because it's just not well composed. I tried to frame the car and the building in the same shot and kind of like lead your eye to the car, but it didn't really work, and that's why I'm not really a fan of it. These images aren't the worst images that I've ever taken in my entire life, but I just wasn't happy with them, and that's the reason why I'm showing this in the video and trying to explain why I didn't like them so much. So it's not like I'm being hard on myself or demonizing myself for not taking cool photographs. I just wasn't a fan of these because they didn't come out how I thought they were going to. And now it's time for the pieces you've all been waiting for, the best shots that I've taken this year on sweet, sweet celluloid. I'm going to begin with a photograph that I made quite recently. You can check out the video over here. This is on Ektar 100, which is coincidentally my favorite film stock of all time. This was a house situated near a graveyard by the place that we were staying in Wales. I just love the colors. I didn't really have to do anything to this photograph. I love the way that your eyes are being led into the scene from the left-hand side of this shot. The colors are just popping in this. If I were to change one thing, I would have put it on a tripod and shot it at like f16 and just kept everything in focus. But even with that being said, I'm still a fan of how this turned out and kind of like focuses on the house and the tombstone in front of the house. Please, if you haven't, don't listen to the hate. Ektar is an incredible film stock and you should totally shoot it. I'm not really sure why I like this next shot, but this was taken on Portra 160 NC, which is an expired stock, and it was like quite heavily expired by the time that I got it. I was trying to do something different. I feel like often I'm just taking photographs of nice views or nice landscapes, but I really wanted to try get some textured shots and get like closer to my subjects and a little bit more detail in the stuff that I was making. You will notice on the Portra 160 NC there's tiny little white spots all over the images, but I was actually a fan of these and I kept them in throughout all of the photographs that I made on this film stock just because. The colors for me popped so well in this scene, and there wasn't too much of a reflection because the water was moving and I was shooting it at the right angle. Just a lot of things worked out in this shot and I was really happy with this one, to be honest. Call me a romantic, but I love this shot of this old couple in this old car in Old Town in Wales. This was shot on my Olympus XA using Ultramax. Was it Ultramax? Was it Ultramax? Could have been Superior. Let's call it Ultramax. This was made in Pristine in Wales, and I noticed this guy driving this really old car through the city. I stopped and I asked him if I could make some photographs of him, and I assume this is his wife. When she got in the back, I just like snuck behind them and they started talking to each other. I took about 3 of these images, and this is the one that I was most happy with because they were kind of leaning into each other and the leading lines, leaning them in. I just was a fan of this whole composition, and it's probably one of my favorites from the entire year. Kodak Gold 200 was surprisingly reintroduced back into the film sphere this year, and I wanted to do that film justice, so I shot it throughout a variety of different shooting conditions and lighting conditions. You can check out the video over here, but I was most happy with this image that I made of this RV at Blue Hour. I'd kind of like noticed this RV a couple of days before and I was like, this would look great at Blue Hour / nighttime because there would be this burning orange glow from the street lights, and I came back to the scene at nighttime to make this picture. I was just super happy with it because it's an interesting subject and the detail in this shot and on Kodak Gold 200 is just...
That's a spicy meatball!
So damn good, so damn good. This image didn't look like this at all when I got it back from the lab. It was so blue and washed out and uncontrasty. It just looked like a hot mess, to be honest with you. I shot it on Fuji Pro 400H, and that's the reason that me and this film stock have had a rocky relationship for the past couple of months. But eventually I figured out how to shoot Pro 400H and which lab to send it to, more importantly. This is a very simple scene. There's just layers of sky, mountain and foreground, but the colors and the layers are why I took this shot. There's no one subject. It's just like an endless amount of layers, which I kind of love, to be honest with you. I don't really know why I love this image so much, but it's probably my second favorite image that I've made this entire year. And I had to work a lot to get it to where it looks like right now, and I'm proud of that. And now it's time to reveal my favorite photograph of the entire year, and it's actually a tie between these two images taken in Lockfleet in Scotland. These were made on Portra 160 NC, which, as I said before, had the weird dots all over it, which I was actually a fan of. But I couldn't really decide. It was golden hour and there were these two subjects of buildings, one across a dam and one super close with trees in the background. They both turned out to be photographs that I'm incredibly proud of, and I would say are my favorites of this entire year so far. I love the color, I love the subject matter. If I had one change, it would be in this photograph of the house across the way. I would have kind of moved a little bit closer or framed it so that the house was a bit bigger in the shot. But all in all, these are my top 2 photographs of the year so far. That's it for this video. I'm about to take Mila on her first ever public swimming pool experience of her entire life so far. Tomorrow it's her very first birthday, so if you want to sound off in the comments below and wish my tiny human happy 1 year of existence, my wife and I would love to read the comments, so go ahead, they're all yours. I will see y'all in the next video. Sayonara, you beautiful suckers.